build a networking relationship fast. I have talked about this in the past that one of the best ways to build a great business relationship and also personal relationship is to discover what you have in common with someone. And the more specific, the better. But the problem is, how do you do that in a business network setting, right? Do you go around with a checklist of what's your favorite food? What's your favorite sport? What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? That's weird. And so you can't do that. And yet, you know that there are some amazing, interesting, perhaps even deep things that the people you've met, the people you know, have in common with you, but it just has not come up. So how do you do that? How do you discover what you have in common with people? So first of all, small talk. Small talk is not small at all. There are two reasons for small talk. The first is to be polite, right? How are you? Nice to meet you. Are you enjoying the event? How do you know the host? That's polite. That gives people just a little bit of an opportunity to start to feel comfortable with you, as opposed to, hello, nice to meet you. This is my business. This is what I do. These are the people I help. Is that something you need? Can I help you with this? What are your deepest dreams and fears? And if you've ever been presented with that kind of question, what can I do right now to help you in your life? I might be thinking, come clean out my garage. I don't know what you're capable of doing or what you're willing to do. So small talk is important, but think about small talk as giving you the opportunity to start following perhaps a trail of breadcrumbs. If you talk about the weather, you can say, where I was born, it never gets this hot. Oh, really? Where were you born? Oh, I was born in Chicago. Really? My grandmother's from Chicago. And then, so you start following almost what seems like an inconsequential comment. You start following it down a trail to get more and more and more specific. Now, doesn't work every single time, but the important point to keep in mind is to think of small talk as a starting point, as a launching point, and as a way to start building momentum so that you can dig for things that you like, so that you can start finding out what you have in common. So number two, show enthusiasm for your own interests, your own hobbies, your own activities, and telling a story, a brief story, these all have to be very brief stories, about your fishing trip or your hiking trip could bring other people out into the open with their own love of fishing or their own love of hiking. So be happy to talk about yourself and your own interests so that you can flush out, so to speak, those people who have the same interests. So we're talking about how to build a networking relationship faster. And one of the great ways to do that is to find out what you have in common with someone. And the more specific, the better. So you can both be sports fans, but if they love basketball and you love football and neither one of you likes the other sport, that's not something in common. The more specific, the better. But how do you find these things out in the first place? That's what we're talking about. Something else to do is to not limit your conversation in business to personal hobbies. Obviously, you're in a business situation. Talk about your business likes and events, how you got into your business, where you went to school, maybe other business associations that you're part of, or business books that you're currently reading. I see people in book clubs who really bond over the fact that they both made their way through a particular business book. Even magazines, I don't know. Does anybody even subscribe to paper magazines anymore? I love them, but maybe that's what you have in common is that you still have a paper magazine subscription to a business publication. But be sure not to pepper someone with questions. This really needs to come from a natural flow of conversation. And so it takes some practice to work on this. And don't be disappointed if you bring something up and it gets no response. If you bring up hiking, hey, I went on this amazing hike last weekend, and they either give you a blank stare or they tell you they hate hiking. Oh, okay, then you have to move on. I used to get this all the time with running. I was a very avid runner. I'm getting back into it. And so that for me was a conversation starter or a place to find out, because if somebody else was a runner, boy, we'd really click. What would happen a lot is I would bring it up and they would say, oh, I hate running. I'm terrible at running. Or even less helpful, because this is not a helpful part of the conversation, even less helpful is that they would say something like, oh, running's going to ruin your knees. And so it puts you on the defensive. But I just learned to roll with it. Oh, not everybody loves to run. Walking's great. I love to hike. How about you? And then maybe they do love to hike, and you just continue to roll with the conversation. You just can move on to another topic, ask them what they do enjoy. That's a great way to just roll with it. Another way, and this is a conversational tidbit that we've been taught, is to ask them what they do like to do when they're not working. And that's a very broad question, but it opens it up so that they can talk about something that they're really passionate about without you having to play 21 questions. Oh, do you like hiking? Do you like kayaking? Do you like sports? No, you just ask them, what do you like to do when you're not working? And part of this is on you as well. If you only have a few really obscure, like really deep niched interests of your own, like Aztec love poems or Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors tournaments, you need to cultivate a few more broad hobbies. Isn't that nice? Being great at networking means you should spend some time and effort on a hobby. You get a hobby to help your business. But finding something that will help you connect more easily with more people it'll benefit your health, of course, but it'll also benefit your networking and help you build networking relationships fast.